Peace and peace, loved ones, what's going on? You are now tapped into the most dangerous virtual lunchroom on the planet. You already know the Lunch and Munch meetup. We do this every Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And here's what we believe. We believe that you can't build anything bigger than you build you. So what we have done is built a platform that helps you become the best you possible. We give you tips and we give you tricks and we give you practical steps that you can take along your process and journey that are going to help you become the person that you dream of being. Because once you have built you and you have a firm foundation to build all of your dreams, your hopes, and your aspirations on, you're going to be off to the races. And we want to see you be the best you, not just for you, but for all those who are looking up to you as well. So we want to thank you. It's your boy P.2. That's right. On behalf of my brother Wayne, we are the Lunch and Munch crew, right? And you're a luncher, you're a part of our family, and without you, there is no Lunch and Munch. So listen to me. We are currently in our series called Are You Really Adding Value? And this particular series has really taken shape, even to not, or how can I say this, like beyond our expectation. And so this last week we had our brother, Nard came on and he talked about adding value to his daughters as a father, as a stay-at-home dad. And he dispelled the myths about stay-at-home dads being lazy. He talked about his everyday activity. He talked about the requirements that are on him and the weight that he shoulders on a daily basis, trying to be the best man that he could possibly be through healing, through his own childhood trauma. He also talked about stay-at-home dad depression, like that's a real thing. Like he really delved in to a lot of elements of what society says a man is supposed to be, and him having to combat that, and him having to deal with people in his comments that are telling him that he's not a real man because of the role that he is taking. So we really dug deep. So if you missed that episode, you want to, after this episode, go on back and catch that episode as well. But that episode was so powerful that we had to have him back for round two. So on this particular episode, we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into how we, as fathers, and I'm a father of a little girl as well, and Nard also having two little girls, and Wayne having two girls as well. We're really gonna be delving deep into how we can add value to our daughters by adding value to our wives, right? So this is going to be an amazing discussion. So tell a friend to tell a friend to pull up to the meetup because it's about to go down. So I'm about to bring in my boy Nard and we about to get this conversation started. Y'all ready? I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all ready. Nard, what's good, my guy?
What's up? What's up, bro?
Hey man, hey, round two, bro. Just want to appreciate you, man, for coming back through. Man, I'm gonna tell you that last episode was so heavy, bro. And that clip that I posted on the Lunch and Munch page, that joint got a lot of love, a lot of comments, a lot of shares. You know what I'm saying? When you were talking about how you're not a healed man, you're a healing man. Like you're in the process of healing from your past hurts, from your past traumas, and you're trying to work through them for the benefit of those girls, right? For the benefit even of your son as well, and for your wife, and just the community that you're a part of, and being the example to brothers on how to not make excuses, but actually to step into their calling and be grit dads, right? And so yeah, bro. So we appreciate you again on behalf of Wayne. We want to thank you so much for joining us again, bro. And so look, bro, stay at home dad. We went through that, man. We understand like you got businesses on the side. You working and you got a lot of things going on. And bro, as I thought about this today, man, like I know it just dawned on me because me having a little girl, she being my baby girl, I thought about the fact that another way to add value to her is the way that I treat her mother, right? The way that I treat my wife, because ultimately she is building a narrative on how she's supposed to be treated based upon how she sees me treat her mom, right? And so a lot of times, I'm not going to say a lot of times, but it's very possible for us to be so focused on the child that we neglect the one who gave us the child, right? And because of that, we can find somewhat of a disconnect and find ourselves even not making or not prioritizing our wives because we got to do what we got to do for the kids. So, talk to us, bro, about one, have you ever considered that? And two, how do you or how have you made it a point to value your wife so that this way you can be an example to your girls?
Whew, we gon' Pop. We might have to do a part 3 too because at the day, bro, for real. At the end of the day, my guy, like when we talk about, like you said, when we talk about them being an extension of their mom, right? And I can honestly say that I get caught up in falling short sometimes. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to um like my wife would put it, filling her love tank. Cause she had to come to me plenty of times, right? And
Yeah.
say, you know, my love tank is empty, right?
Wow.
And I mean with the, with the like with the everyday life, right? We could get caught up on her part too. Cause like I said, she working and working on her master's, studying. I'm doing so many different things with being with the kids. That's like number one priority. So, we really could get caught up and well, I could get caught up and say, and it's like, well, how I had to go back because we in the midst of getting counseling too. I've been me and my wife and I've been married for 8 years.
Okay.
And we still been like working out some kinks in our marriage.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Pop, it's like several elements and levels when, we may say, all right, well, how can I add value to her in the midst of adding values to my daughter? So, I am still learning because being married 8 years is like, okay, I'm still learning that, wow, like I have so much to still learn with learning my spouse.
Mhm.
You know, you see what I'm saying? Like it's bro, it's like I'm still learning. Like I'm still learning my spouse, and now you tack on kids with that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And,
Mhm.
and and like you said, like even with having daughters, bro, I had to catch myself plenty of times because yes, I have had times where I know for sure I probably was arguing with my wife in front of my daughters, right?
Yeah.
And somebody may say, well, you know, y'all shouldn't be doing that in front of the kids. And of course we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
right? Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, of course we shouldn't be arguing in front of the kids, but things happen. You got frustrations. Once again, Pop, like, we going into to me, so many different levels because it's like, for one, I'm going to be honest with you, Pop, and I don't think a lot of guys say this, because in order to love my wife, right, I had to love my mom.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying, Pop? Let's go there.
Yeah.
Let's go there
Yeah.
because Pop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I had a different upbringing, and yes, going through therapy, my therapist have told me that I have to forgive my mom, right? And I thought I did, but I partially forgave my mom.
Mm.
So I'm saying that to say, when you grow up, to me, in a household with a lack of love, right, from a woman,
Yeah.
just from my perspective, I'm not trying to, because other guys, they can feel how they want to feel, but I'm going to just tell the truth and say, you know, growing up with that lack of love from my mom, yes, when I had different females, I may have messed over a lot of females in my life, whatever. I had to pay the piper for that. I had to pay.
Mm.
God came to my doorstep and showed me Like, all right, you did this, I'm gonna show you some karma, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying that this with not having that love for my mom, I'm not gonna lie, like in a way, Pop, I didn't know that I was broken because I still going back to unresolved trauma, right? We talking about trauma, the love that I didn't get from my mom in a way. And bro, like I talked to my mom, Pop, let's say 2 weeks ago, and my mom was like, "Son, I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you as I should have been mentally."
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that to say to kind of bring it full circle on honestly, how Pop, you're gonna have to answer this question. How can a man not love his mom but love his wife? Because his mom should be the first one, right?
Yo, that's a fact. You know what? Yo, that oh my gosh. We listen. Woo, we coming in hot. And you know what, bro? And that is an excellent point. That is an excellent point. And I think, bro, there's no real cookie cutter answer to it. But, well, not even a but. Really, I think that what's important though is the fact that you acknowledge it. Like, so let's just back up for a second. You said you're in therapy, bro. Like, I'm so
Still, bro.
glad. Like, no,
I'm
no,
no, no I ain't gonna cut you off, Pop.
yeah,
I want to be going through therapy for 6 months, Pop. I just made 34. It took me a long time to even know. I knew, like we said before, because of course we're gonna talk about the kids, but
yeah.
we gotta talk about the part of it took me this long to know that I have to go seek some help because I want to become better
Yeah.
on all facets of life.
Well, listen, and that's powerful first and foremost because we're dispelling myths, right? So I'm glad you're hearing a black man, okay, who's stay-at-home dad who is juggling marriage for 8 years, juggling children, right? And everything in between. And he's saying that he had to get therapy before he came to the breakthrough or the revelation that his lack of or his inability to be able to love his spouse the way that she was looking for it was because he didn't have that love growing up. So you didn't have an example of what you now have to what you now have to deliver or what you now have to give, right? And so I just want to highlight that because you may be a man who's married or has a fiance or a girl, whatever, and you're finding that she's asking you the question of or not even asking the question, but saying to you in essence, my love tank is empty, and you may be thinking that you're doing everything in your capability, right? That you're doing everything in your capacity and capability to love her because maybe you didn't have an example or that's the way that you were loved, so that you just kind of transfer that over here. What I want you to what I want to challenge us in this moment is to acknowledge that maybe possibly there has been something in your past, in your childhood, in your upbringing, and that is the reason why you're finding difficulty at this stage of your life to give love because you didn't give it. Okay, because you didn't get it. Another thing that I would say, bro, because and it's so interesting because I had a great relationship with my mom, like a great still to this day, and even my grandmother and all the women in my life, really, you know what I'm saying, aunts, grandmother, all that. But what I would say is that you or not even you, what I would say as far as to your question of how can we, or if you don't love the woman who brought you into this world, how in the world can you love this other woman? You know what I'm saying? And that's a great question. And I think, and I've heard in my experience and in my talking, what I've found as a motivation is that because you were loved this way, and you didn't necessarily take well to it, or you didn't necessarily like it, or you found that it caused certain things in your life to go not to go astray, but it caused certain things in your life to not align and line up, then that could be a basis by which you use and say, yo, when I love, my love cannot look like that. Right? So that is a love that love hurts, or if that's love at all, that experience hurt. That experience didn't serve me well. So now that I understand that, I know that I can't do the same thing over here, because I didn't like the way that I didn't that experience did not serve me. So it's that's a good clue that that experience is not going to serve somebody else. You feel what I'm saying? So
Yes.
using the, if nothing else, using that experience as a rubric to say I'm not doing that. You feel what I'm saying? Like no matter what,
Right.
I'm not doing that. But now the other flip side of that is to learn how to not do that, because your default setting is going to be that, right? So I think one of the things that we have to do and really take into consideration is this: take the step that you took. We got to get counseling, yo. Like we have to have a determination to do better. Case in point, when I was married, when I was first married. Now my mother and my father weren't married, so my wife's uh my wife's parents, my in-laws, have been married for 50 something years. You know what I'm saying? So they're OGs
Well,
on,
see,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, she knows what it is. Huh? Say again?
I say well seasoning.
Well seasoned. So she grew
Yeah.
up, she didn't know anything other than marriage, right? Her uncle, which is my father-in-law's brother, they lived on the same street, and he's been married for longer than my in-laws. He and his my my aunt-in-law, my uncle and aunt-in-law, they've been married longer than my in-laws. You feel what I'm saying? So like
Right.
she grew up with nothing but marriage, right? She knows what that is. I didn't know what that was. So for me, what was crazy for me, and I was my father's, I was my mother's only child. My father I had other siblings, but he had, you know what I'm saying, with other women. So I was my mother's only child. So what ended up happening is that I went into a marriage not knowing how to be a husband, right? Still kind of trying to figure out this manhood thing. And what I was doing was I was inadvertently making my wife, or how can I say this? I was inadvertently expecting my wife to be my mother, because
Bro.
I was expecting my wife to be my mother. So my wife is like, yo, hold on. Like, my father-in-law, that dude cooks, he sews. Like, I mean, this dude could cut down trees and build sheds. Like, he's a man. The dude, he's 6'4".
A
You know what I'm saying?
man's man.
He a man's man. That man is 6'4".
A
He grew up
man.
in Mississippi. That dude know. I mean, you name it. He knows how to do it, right?
A man.
And
A
so,
grown man.
yo, for real. And for me, I'm like, yo, like, I that ain't me. You know what I'm saying? In any way, shape, or form. So you already know I came in with a bit of insecurity in that regard, because I know the shoes that I had to fill, and how far away from that I was, and how large that gap was. But I was expecting her to be my mom. So a lot of the stuff, she's like, yo, like, bro, like, why aren't you doing X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, what do you mean to do X, Y, and Z? Like I really legitimately did not know I had to do that. And so I didn't get counseling, so to speak, but it was a very challenging first couple of years of my marriage. But hearing her over and over hearing her say the same things over and over again made me realize that clearly I was lacking something. And what I did was, bro, and it was by the grace of God, bro, I hooked up with a brother I connected with a dude who happened to be connected to a men's group that they were on a line like 5 o'clock every single morning. So I hopped on the line with them, bro, and I didn't realize that I didn't know how to be a husband and a man until I got on a line with a bunch of dudes who were actually men, mature men, who are men and fathers, and I'm hearing the things that they're doing, and I'm like, yo, that's what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, bro, yo, dudes is talking about like, yo, I like my wife likes the when she vacuums the carpet, she likes the lines in the carpet. You know what I'm saying? So what bro would do was, bro, when he would vacuum, he would put the lines in the carpet because his wife liked the lines in the carpet. I'm like, yo, what? You know what I'm saying? But so I didn't know that I wasn't a husband. I didn't know that I wasn't a father. My man, and I'm gonna kick it back over to you, bro. My guy Quest, shout out to Quest, yo. He got on a call with me, bro, and I was like, yo, Quest, like, I'm lost, bro. This dude said, yo, have you ever picked up a book and read about manhood? And I was like, no. He was like, yo, have you ever picked up a book and read about marriage? And I was like, no. And he was like, well, see, the pre or the assumption is you age into manhood and then you age into marriage, right? Not that you have to actually become a man in order to become a husband, right? And we're not taught how to be either. We just are taught to grow up, you know what I'm saying, and kind of figure it out along the way, right? Especially if we didn't have father figures in our lives. So, bro, like this idea of serving or learning how to be a man and a husband so our children can benefit from it is a conversation that I've never heard had. I've never heard being, you know what I'm saying, particularly in these type of environments, bro. So but yo, go ahead, bro. What was you about to say?
Nah, man, listen, bro. I love you for that, bro. Like, man, Pop, like you said, bro, this is not being had because at the end of the day, like you said, I'm gonna go and give some things like I said, on the last one, crappy parents make crappy kids, right? And a lot of people like to challenge me on that, but I tell them, and Pop, you can say it, if the kids are okay, I mean if the parents are okay, then the kids should be okay.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Um, Pretty much.
yeah,
So, you know, going into fatherhood, once again, you have me, you know, this person crappy, right? I was a crappy. That's just what it is. Like, a lot of people, oh, don't say that and da da da. Man, listen. In order for me, I don't even want to say crackhead, but in order for me to, the first step into healing or the first step into getting help is identifying I had a problem.
100%,
Period.
100%.
So, and like you said, Pop, I mean, yes, I grew up. My mom and my dad, my mom and my stepdad, they've been married for a long time or whatever. But my mom can say, that it was very dysfunctional.
Mm,
So yeah, two parents can be in a household, but it also could be dysfunctional,
yeah,
and it also can be right, and it also can be not the love being there because once again, Pop, every female that I was seeking out, I was looking for that love that I didn't get from my mom.
mm, mm,
Right?
yeah,
So 18, 19, 20, because I didn't get married until I was 24. Um, were we ready for marriage? Hell no. I don't bro, like we were young, like you talking about mama issues, me,
yeah,
and daddy issues. Now I don't know if my wife, I think she maybe probably had some daddy issues here and there or whatever. But a lot of us men want to talk about, oh, the woman just having daddy issues. Well, I have both,
yeah,
mama and daddy issues,
yeah,
right? And then it's like when you get with someone that may be experiencing that, now y'all trauma bonded.
yeah. Ooh.
And we were hitting our head, bro. We was hitting our head for a minute, like just, and like you said, going back to what your partner said, bro. We got a book right now. My wife did actually cracked it back open. It's called Couple Skills. Cause I
Mm,
used to, bro. Yeah, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, Pop. I used to back then. We talked about therapy a lot. But I used to be the one like, man, I don't need no therapy. Like, I mean, I don't need no counseling. Like, I used to be like, oh, I'm gonna drop her off at the thing. She need counseling. You know what I'm
She
saying?
need that, yeah.
Yeah, she need it. But dude, bro, it's like until you really start like clawing through and like pulling back the layers and saying, you know what, something like I want to be happy. I want to have joy. I want God to really bless me with abundance of just. We didn't even talk about money, bro. We talk about happiness because I was thinking, I'm like, man, I'm not where I'm at in my marriage and where I'm on in life because where I was at and where I'm going in life because I'm like, well, I had to change something inner. Because of course it's easy to just like I used to do, man, my wife and kids the reason why I'm not doing what I need to do in life. They're the reason why. And it's like, no, right? Like you're the reason why. I'm the
100%.
reason why. And I'm like,
Yep.
well, I'm like, you know what? And I kept bumping my head, bumping my head, bumping my head, bumping my head. And it's like, even through marriage, I'm like, man, bro, me and my wife, still going through counseling, right? Still learning certain I just learned like a lot of people talk about reacting and responding.
Yes.
And you and I both know reaction is emotional
Yes.
and responding is logical. But I'm not
Woo.
gonna get on here tell you, Pop, that I was reacting. I was always reacting to the things that she would say, and then I wondered why we
Button head.
button heads.
Ooh-wee. Bro, can
You know?
yo yo let me before you even go any let me share. So we did premarital counseling, my wife and I, and the doc the counselor, we're sitting in front of him, and he says, he starts asking us questions, and he's like, my wife's name is Tammy, so he's like Tammy, who was the dominant, parent in your household? You know what I mean? And she, she's asking her questions about, grandparents, parents, and I'm like, and we just asking her questions because like the way that he's asking it is very conversational. But I'm noticing that as she's talking and as I'm talking, he's writing things down. So after he asked us, about who were the dominant, like he asked us about our grandparents, and then he asked us about our parents and who was the dominant figure in our households, right? And so after he wrote everything down, he turns this little paper that he was drawing on, and he drew this family tree, right? And in my wife's household, her mother was the dominant figure in her home. In my home, and where me growing up, my mother was the dominant figure in my home, right? And so he says to me, he looks dead in my eyes, and he says he points to the graphs that he drew, and he said, Stephen, if you're not, that's my name for those of y'all that, yeah, right. So he said to me, he said, Stephen, if you're not careful, the woman in you is gonna clash with the woman in her. And I was like, what?
Mm.
I said, what you mean? The woman in me.
Bro, you gonna have to repeat that again.
Yo, he said, if you're not careful, the woman in you is gonna clash with the woman in her. And I was like, huh? What you mean? Like the woman in me? What you mean? I'm 100% man. What you mean? What you mean, a woman in me?
What you talking about, bro?
Exactly what you talk about. Like, yo, you trying to disrespect me? But what he was saying was, he was like, if you have two headstrong women in any environment, if that's the kitchen, if that's the table, whatever, what's going to happen? Neither of them are going to back down, and eventually you're going to bump heads. Eventually, you're going to collide. So, in essence, what he was sharing with me is that I have to be, to your point, I have to be more logical in my approach, and because by default she's going to be more emotional in her approach. So me approaching or matching her emotion with emotion, that ain't going to be good. So in essence, what he was saying to me is that I have to be responsible and accountable to me to make sure that I'm thinking through the process, or I'm thinking through what's being said. I'm thinking through what she's saying. I'm thinking through what the current situation is and what it's displaying to us. And I have to now logically digest that and now speak to her, not react, but actually respond to her in a way that I can get the message across from my perspective without it seeming as if I'm accusing her of being wrong or that I'm not listening to her. And
Mm.
I was like, yo, like what what are you talking about right now? You know what I'm saying? And so not to say that she's absolved from her responsibility in the way that she reacts, but I have to know that as a logical thinker, I have to be willing to forego my emotion to actually be logical in the situation, so that this way she can feel as if she's understood, and I can also feel as if my point was clear. You feel what I'm saying? And so
Mm-hmm.
OG said to me that in marriage, bro, he was like, yo, like, your goal is not to be, he said, your goal is not to be right. Your goal is to be understood. Your
Mm.
goal is not to be right. The goal is to be understood. And what ends up happening is that we are so, particularly as men with territorial, we got testosterone, we want to be right. You know what I'm saying? And so because we want to be
All
right
the time.
all the time. So because
Some
we
of us
want
all the time.
that's what, you know what I'm saying? We want to be right. So our desire to be right combined with the testosterone and all those things that come along with it, though, that right there could literally be a breaking point or a disconnect that won't allow us to be able to have the happiness that we're talking about, right? Being able to experience the bliss, to have difficult situations, but still be able to treat each other and communicate with each other as human beings, right? Because I understand how you respond, but I also have to understand how I'm supposed to respond in order to make sure that we're able to not only have the conversation, but we're able to now take action on it together to resolve whatever it is that to resolve whatever that issue is. You feel what I'm saying? And and to your point, bro, that's easier said than done. When we were in premarital counseling, bro, when we were in premarital counseling, the counselor gave us a argue night. We had one, and this sounds crazy, bro. He said we had no. He said two things. Two things. He said he gave us an argument night, one night of the week where we can argue, right? And he said preferably it needs to be at the end of the week, towards the end of the week, and it needs to be in the evening. He said that, and number two, he said y'all can't argue in your bedroom. You can't argue in the bedroom. Wherever you're gonna have your argument space, it can't be in your bedroom. Okay. So I'm like, okay, this is weird, right? Because I never heard it. Again, I don't I'm not I don't have an example of a good healthy marriage, right? So what he was saying was, and yo, bro, and we tried it. We tried it. And what we found was, by the time we got, say our argument night was on a Friday, if I did something to piss her off on Sunday or Monday, or she did something to piss me off on Monday or on Sunday or Monday, because I couldn't actually react to that thing until Friday, I actually had to think about what actually happened the whole entire week. So by the time we got to Friday, I was able to clearly articulate what was the matter. This happened, and this is how I felt when it happened, as opposed to me reacting in the moment and the point totally being missed because all I'm coming is with emotions. It was the craziest thing, bro, but it actually worked. And these are all tactics. And listen, we just having a conversation, but if you're watching and you're married, or you have a significant other, you have a fiance, and you're finding it difficult, and you're butting heads, and you're having difficulty, you're thinking that you're giving it all, but she's saying that you're not, and then you're frustrated, and you feeling like, yo, I'm about to give up because clearly I just can't please her, I can't satisfy her. Good.
Add kids in that pop. Put the kids down too.
Oh yeah, and
Put
yeah,
kids in that
yeah, and the
because,
kids.
bro, the reason why I say that because sometimes I get frustrated because us having little kids, sometimes we can't even, how you put it, like have real conversations all the time because the
Yeah,
kids are around,
yeah,
right? So like it's like how do you even navigate through that for, like you said, if, for the listeners, like we just being real, like because honestly, it some sometimes it, once again, it's going back to, okay, like I said, it's like dying to myself, but also that's the end of marriage too. It's like you really gotta die to yourself
100%.
to, sometimes to like put that person before you. And I know it's hard when people say, like think about you first and all this type of stuff and put yourself first and all this type of stuff. But I'm like, when you marry, how can you do that?
Yeah.
Like, how can you, right? And listen, I'm not a therapist, so we're not saying, not put yourself first, but when you're in a marriage, bro, it's a commitment. Like we can't, you and Pop can't just close the door and walk away.
No, it's not. It's not
Like I
possible.
can't just walk away from my kids and my family.
Yeah,
Yes, I had the thoughts. We all when they had the thoughts.
yeah,
I
but
mean, we didn't talk about divorce before.
bruh, yeah, yeah,
We like bro, let's take the glove. Like for real, like we didn't talk about that before, but you know, once again, like they had a clip of Michelle saying that, because I read her book too, but they had Michelle Obama said that sometimes in marriage she have given 70% and he have given 30.
mm-hmm.
Like and a lot of people think, oh well, you give 50-50.
Nope,
But I don't think that it's always like that.
no, no,
I
it's
just, you know what I'm saying? I don't believe, this whole mockery of this is what marriage is supposed to be. We don't have a blueprint, just like we don't have a blueprint on when we having kids. Like we don't say, hey, go to page 45 and you're gonna be able to,
that's right.
like we don't have a blueprint on that.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And bro, I think you're absolutely right, man. There's no real blueprint. And so what I would say is, for those of you, so if you have, here's the thing, man. Like, the beauty of the internet is that you can have virtual mentors. So if you don't necessarily have anybody who's done it personally, right? We're talking about healthy marriage, and or someone who knows how to, who treat their wives well, or whatever have you. Like, if you don't have that in your immediate circle, yo, there's resources out here, right? Like, there's podcasts, there's you know what I'm saying? There are books, there are people who have been doing the work for a very long time, and they're all over. It's YouTube and all of that type of stuff, where you can begin to, at least, if nothing else, see a different perspective, or see. And what I found is that when you find people like that, then it sheds light on areas where you need improvement. And so, to your point, bro, it's not about bashing, and it's not about you feeling inadequate. It's about the fact that, listen, we all are trying to figure this thing out, right? But what we understand, bro, and I think this is the crux of the conversation, is that it's not just the children, right? It's who you're doing life with. And who you're doing
Mm-hmm.
life with is ultimately going to influence, and how you're doing life with them is going to directly influence your children. So in
It's
order,
gonna, like you said, Pop, that cup, you fill in the cup and it's gonna overflow
that's
into the
right.
kids.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's going to, so you can't have one without the other. It's basically what it boils down to, bro.
They
And
join at the hip.
you're joined at the hip, and like what I told my wife was like, yo, look, I plan on doing this forever. And one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not being miserable for the rest of my life. So
No.
we going to have to
No.
try to figure out how we going to be able to do this thing the best, right? And to your point earlier about the 50-50, no, that's not the truth. You bring, the idea is for you to bring you to the table. Authentically, genuinely you to the table. And now it's our
Not the
job.
crappy you though. Not
No.
not the crappy you.
No. not the crap. Not the crap. No, it's you. It's as far as your point, as far as you being, of you having self, or you putting yourself first. Now, I agree with that in this regard.
Right.
To your point, you putting yourself first as far as you doing the personal, emotional, spiritual development that you need to do on you, because you understand that by you doing that for you, it's directly going to benefit those who you're serving or who you're doing life with. So in that regard, me taking the time to listen to podcasts and read the books and hold myself accountable, right? And figure out where I fall short and try to fill in those gaps. That is me work. So that is putting me first in a way. But me putting me first is for the benefit of the team. You feel what I'm saying? So LeBron spends $1 million plus on his body every year. Yeah, it benefits him for his health, but it also is going to put him in a position where his team could depend on him because they know that he's done put in that work, and he's put in that time, he's put in effort, he's invested in himself, so that this way he can be an asset to his team. You feel what I'm saying? So with you putting yourself first, you investing in you in order to be an asset for your team. And in this essence, your team is your wife. Your team is your kids, right? So her doing her self-work, you doing your self-work, at the end of the day, and we have to stop right here. Okay? I know it's getting good. I'm sorry to do it, but we promise that we do not keep you past your lunch break. Okay? So we want to hold true to that promise. Next week, Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be launching, or we're going to be airing, the second part of this interview. But if you are willing to leave us a comment, let us know what were some of your key takeaways. And if you want us to drop this second part of the episode early, then let us know in the comments, and maybe I could twist Dwayne's arm and maybe get his cosign for us to air this early, all right? Or air the second part of this early. So let us know in the comments if that's what you want us to do. If you're new to this channel, we appreciate you and we salute you. Please, if you haven't already, tap that bell notification, hit that subscribe button, and also just leave us a comment. And if you can go back and watch some of our other episodes, or you can rewatch this episode. If anything that we have posted on this page adds you value, please go ahead and share that with a family and a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend to pull up to the meetup. We would love to have you and love to welcome you as a part of the family. So again, we thank you all so very much. Stay tuned for part 2. If you want part 2 early, let us know in the comments. All right, we're going to see you in a minute. Love you to life. Peace.